Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Hello, Laurie Spencer, my wonderful friend and the co-founder of Oregon Chai. We're so happy to have Laurie, beautiful Laurie, today here. Everybody in Portland in the food and beverages industry know about Laurie. Now, if you don't know her, this is a great chance. Laurie, tell us about yourself and your business.
Yes. Thank you, Alice. Thank you for having me. As Alice said, I'm Laurie Spencer, and I am an executive and consultant in the food and beverage industry. I have been in the industry for 25 years, and I have owned my own practice for 15 years. My practice focuses around small to mid-sized companies, and I help in a variety of ways. General business, marketing, and business development are my areas of focus.
And in the food and beverages industry specifically.
Correct. I have done a lot of work in consumer products. I've done some in healthcare, but a primary focus of my practice is definitely food and beverage. Yes.
Great. This is Women's Million Dollar Conversation. Of course, we're here with great women who have great success to be our role model. We're talking about money here. First question, Laurie. What's your value of money?
Money provides freedom, and money also provides the flexibility to be able to make choices for yourself in what you want to do. It allows choices and being able to choose things that you would like to do, maybe not necessarily what you need to do. And now, as a parent and mom, to be able to provide for your family and kids is quite something, not having the stress of money and everything that comes.
Very good.
Yeah.
In my day-to-day work, we talk about money freedom or financial freedom a lot. And you were absolutely right, providing the freedom of choices. So you feel less stress and you don't have to, although you might want to do certain things. Laura, you hit it on the nail. We want to drive down a little bit to your founding of Oregon Chai, because you, one of the people, along with the people who were running with you, your co-founders, has taken it past $1 million and then you sold it. So we want to hear that journey to the first $1 million. How long does it take you to get there? And tell us a little bit about when you get there. How does it make you or everybody around you feel?
Yes, I was going to say, for the purposes of today's discussions around $1 million, I very much wanted to share about the Oregon Chai story and how we did reach that $1 million. And at the time, it seemed like forever to get to that $1 million. So Oregon Chai was extremely successful early on. We were growing at 350% after a year and a half, which is phenomenal growth. And when I look back on it, that $1 million mark, we literally had one of those thermometers, temperatures in the office that we would watch to see when we were going to hit that $1 million mark. And it came from a lot of that first initial year sampling and getting people to try it. Nobody knew what chai was. So our goal was to get it to people's mouths. It was an outstanding product, just as far as recipe and taste. And so without any awareness or education, we had to get it to people's mouths. So we spent a lot of time and dollars on sampling on the sides of streets or in stores or in coffee shops. And we would have these chai raves and chai gatherings where we'd have lots of people. And so it was done very organically early on. But when we hit that $1 million, we definitely celebrated because we had our visual in the office. And I think we did celebrate as a team at the time. And from that $1 million mark, we wanted more. We wanted to keep going and wanted to just keep pushing ourselves to sell more chai, educate more on Oregon Chai, and be the success of the category. Passion and drive were really what we had. It was a new category. Nobody was doing alternative beverages in 1994. as 4 women with a lot of passion and drive, we were determined to start this chai tea category. So
beautiful. Love that story. Would you just tell us, if you recall, how many months does it take for you to hit the million from the zero, right? You started at 0.
yes.
How many months or years?
I was going to say it took about 3 years of
That's amazing.
hard work and dedication. And like I said, when I look back on it, that felt like forever, but you are correct. 3 years is not long. Not long
when you look back, but not looking forward.
correct. Now today, that would take a lot longer due to competition, due to very crowded space. So a little bit of this is our timing was in 1994, 95, the timing of our beverage, the work ethic of all of us. A few of us were single, no families yet. We put all of our heart and soul into the company. And you really do in the early days. You have to, it was quite a story. I had to sell my car, move home. I was working 7 days a week. And a lot of that was around the sampling piece that I talked about.
Very good, very good. So on your journey to success, both to the million and beyond that million, until the company was happily acquired by somebody, what are some of the bias or biggest bias that you personally have experienced or collectively as a company has experienced?
Yes, great question. So for an example, at Oregon Chai, we were a women-owned business and it was the early 90s and it was unheard of. There were very few women-owned companies at the time, and let alone having the success that we did. And I've definitely I worked through having children, and sometimes there was a lot of guilt that came with that. But I learned that success came from working hard, and that if I was going to get to a place of success, that I was going to have to put the work in. In the food and beverage industry, it's been a very male dominant industry for years and years. And there's meetings and conversations that I had been in that couldn't believe that there was a woman at the table at times. And that's obviously changed and things have opened up. And that's due to more consumer products coming to the marketplace and more women-owned businesses. And if anything, I was going to say it's at a very important and exciting time now with so many women leading the way and leading the charge in the consumer products industry. It's wonderful to see. It's come a long way though. And it's taken a lot of perseverance and power to get there. So,
Lori, you just reminded me of a quote that I couldn't remember who said that. We have our today because we are standing on the shoulders of the people before us who paved the path. And paraphrasing to the conversation you just gave us, today's founders or today's people who's trying and thriving in the food industry or start opening, they're standing on shoulders of yours and your co-founders and people at the time who just do it no matter what. Sold my car, go back to my parents' home. Yes, I'm not taking any route but this one.
That's right. And I was going to say there's a profound difference that I have seen over my 30 years of being in this industry. Definitely. And it's great to see. I always smile and almost get goosebumps when I see so many women speakers now and writing books or sharing their journeys. And that was unheard of back in the 90s, believe it or not. You didn't see a lot of that.
I think we're old enough to say that we are letting people stand on our shoulders.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Talking about the newer generation, the newcomers, what is your number one piece of advice for somebody who is watching this conversation, this interview, and they said, I aspire to be a Lori? What's your number one piece of advice to them?
Yes. Keep going. So I feel fortunate and lucky that I have surrounded myself with an incredible network of people. Earlier on in my career, one of my first bosses gave me advice to always have a mentor table. And so you want to, in your career, you start now in your 20s and you want to fill that table. And you're always going to be replacing people in that table. And so surrounding yourself with a network of people that you know you can rely on throughout your career and throughout your journey to call on as needed. And I took that to heart, and I've really taken time to build that table and build that circle and ask for the permission to be able to have those people at my table and take advantage of having that knowledge and that network. And I honestly don't know what I would do without my network, because it's been such a huge, important piece of my journey for sure. And that goes for family and friends too, people that I've been able to call on or depend on. And so if you know you need to seek advice or seek your network, start now and build that community. If you have that community and you're not utilizing it, I would definitely think about that and how you can do better at that. It's everything.
Is everything. Network, given there is so much uncertainty in our world, and every year they come a new title, whether it's COVID or inflation, let's name it, right? You give a different label. Everything is uncertain. But if we have a strong network, according to a wonderful Lori, you are way more resilient.
I do want to say I don't like the word network, and it feels very rigid and very firm to me. So I like to call it community, because that's really what we are building in our life, is a community. And whether that's personal or professional, but I've done my best to try to bring them together as much as I can. And so it's one whole piece.
Okay, community versus network. Got it. I'm going to take you back to a time when you, maybe a 2 or 3, when you're building your business, things didn't work and you're banging your head against the wall and you really want to quit. What kept you going?
Self-determination, hard work, strong work ethic, passion and drive. I take those pieces to me in all of my work, and also ask for help. This is something that, to me, it's a skill, and I've had to learn it, to ask for help. We are, in our culture, asking for help is almost an apology in a way. People treat it that way. Not an apology, but asking for help is portrayed sometimes as not a positive. And I had to learn that asking for help is actually what gets you through, gets you to what you need. So one of my things that I told my children every single week that they went to school, raise your hand and ask for help. Ask and you shall receive. So that would be when you're banging your head against the wall in business, or you're stuck and you need something, ask for help. Whether that's to a coworker, whether that's to a teacher or a professor or your local community, asking for help has definitely helped me a lot in my career. And especially at those times when I've been stuck or maybe wanting to quit. And when I seek that help, it opens up a whole new chapter of how to think or how to solve or how to get through.
Ask for help. I think we can also unpack this between the growth mindset and the limited mindset. The limited mindset is, I got to be right. I got it. I don't want to expose myself to tell the world that actually I don't have the tools. I'm not that good. In the growth mindset is, how can we leverage the community? They are there. They are there to help me. Only if I raise my hand and ask.
Correct.
Thank you, Lori.
And also advocating for yourself. I've had to learn how to advocate for my children, advocate for my career, advocate for my health. And we're not necessarily trained to do that. So it's also the same. So advocating and asking for help is a big.
Advocating and asking for help. Change topic. When you are processing a very big decision, how do you process it? What do you do? Do you go to meditate in a quiet place for 7 days?
I was actually going to say the first part of my career would have been definitely seeking as much information and research I could around it and gathering that research. I would say that the later part of my career has definitely been focused around health and wellness and really keeping, I call it my center. So finding my center. And one of the biggest things in my center right now is walking. And so I cannot tell you how much walking has helped my mental, my physical, and I've now turned it into sort of my boardroom is my walk, just where I problem solve and come up with some of those solutions and come up with, if I'm stuck or feeling challenged or feeling up against the wall, I will take a walk. And it's absolutely been my saving grace in a lot of ways. And where it really started playing a big role was in COVID.
Very good. Now, what is the one thing that you wish you would do differently if you were starting over 25 years ago? Here come 1994, founding Chai.
Yeah, I feel fortunate and lucky that I started my career as a founder and I was able to learn all aspects of the business, from operations to sales to driving a forklift to answering the phone to, in the early days, we wore all hats. So we learned raising capital, raising money, hiring. And so I feel lucky that I was able to wear all those hats, and taking that in my career and focusing on marketing and sales and general business have been a big focus, but maybe taking advantage of the fact that in my early part of my career, I had worn all those hats. And maybe if I had maybe spent the time to learn each of those along the way. But for the most part, I don't have a lot of regrets, just due to the fact that I have been exposed to a lot. If I could have maybe honed in on my skill set on some of those other areas that I learned early on, and as I took that with me, that might be something that I could have done. I was always in fear of sales. I was always not in fear of sales, but just, oh, I can't do that area. But honestly, I'm doing sales every day. Sales is building relationships and being with people and making things happen. And I'm doing that every day. So it's been, I think, not fearing things and going for it is really, good thing.
Agree with you. I actually love sales, happen to. I'm very weak in many areas, but I felt that just writing on what you said, sales is really applying influence, because you can only take the horse to the water, and whether the horse drink or not, it really depends on our willingness and capacity and urgency. All these things, the stars need to line up, and it's out of my control. My job is to take them to the beautiful water.
Oh,
It's easy to drink whenever they are ready.
I love that. I love that.
So we're winding down to the last two questions, if I may. What is a piece of the best or the worst advice you ever had in your life that made the biggest impact?
Yes, I love this question. I do have so many, but I'm going to share. So I come from a very close-knit family. My grandmother, my aunt, and my mom were all very strong, smart, and spirited women, and worked hard, all of them. And growing up, we had a family motto, which was be kind, work hard, and have fun. And that was instilled in me to this day. And since I have taken that into my immediate family, to my kids. And if you saw one of my children today and you said to them, what is the best piece of advice you could give to someone, they would probably say that, just because it was in the house, in our house, on the wall. And I basically try to really live my life to those words. And that's from my grandmother, that's from my parents. And now I'm taking that to my children and passing that along.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question. What are you grateful for today?
So much. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family, my community, both personally and professionally. And I'm thankful for my dog, Harley.
Lori, it has been great to be with you for the past 15-20 minutes. When people are curious and want to find more about Lori, how can they find you?
They can find me on my website, aboutlaurispencer.com. And they can also find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm very much relevant and current on social channels. And so they can find me that way as well.
Thank you, Laurie. I'm grateful for you and our conversation today. It touched me.
I'm grateful for you too, Alice, and thank you for being an absolute shining star in our community. It's been an honor to know you.
Yes, same here, same here.